Are you also waiting to be seen by the king? I can hear a voice that's very familiar to me, a voice I used to hear all the time in my home. It sounds very much like the voice of Gehazi, the servant of Elisha. Have you heard of Elisha? He has done many of God's works and is a prophet of God. Gehazi, since I've last seen him, has been struck by leprosy by God, which is very unfortunate. But he's still very active in doing God's work. Whenever Gehazi, and Elisha were in my area, I always invited them into my home and fed them. I even prepared a room just for them to stay in. And whenever they traveled through my area, they would stay in my home. And I never expected anything for this little service. It was a way for me to give back to God a little bit of what he had so richly blessed me and my husband with. And yet, one day, Gehazi came to me and said that the prophet wanted to know if I wanted to be brought into the attention of the king or some other person in power. And I thought, no, I didn't give them the room and the food for my glory. I didn't do the service to God for me. It was for God's glory. And then Elisha told me something. He told me that he would give me something that I had never imagined I would have. Something I had longed for but had long given up ever having. It was a son. A son. But my husband is old. It was impossible. How could I have a son? But he said I would. I didn't think it was possible. But with God, anything is possible. He has given me a son. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. My son grew, and my husband and I, we loved him. He was a gift from God, an unexpected gift, and we cherished it, and we raised him to be in God's glory, because children are God's heritage. And one day, my son went out to help my husband out in the field. It was a gloriously beautiful day. We had no idea that that day would bring a horrible, horrible event. I was inside my house when suddenly I heard a commotion outside, and they rushed my son into my home, and I could immediately tell something was very, very wrong.
My head. My head. My head.
He's dead. My son is dead. God has given him to me. God has taken him away from me. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. Quick, saddle my donkey. I want to go see Elisha. I rushed as quickly as I could to Elisha, and I fell down at his feet, and I told him what had happened. My son was dead. He sent Gehazi ahead with his rod, but I told Elisha I was not going to leave him. By the time we came back to our house, Gehazi told us he had tried to raise my son by placing the rod over his face, but my son was still dead. His body was laid out in Elisha's room, and Elisha went into his room and closed the door. I listened and I could hear him pray. And then I heard him walking around and I heard silence. And I wondered and I prayed. And then I heard 7 sneezes. And then Elisha called for me. And there was my son alive. God had raised him from the dead. Those 7 sneezes was God's breath coming back into my son. God had taken him away, and God had given him back. I am now waiting to go see the king because I have lost my land. Elisha told me to leave the promised land to go to another because there was a great famine coming to the land. And he was right. It was a very long famine. 7 long years. When I came back, I found that somebody had taken my land. It was my son's inheritance, the land promised to Abraham. And it looks like it's my turn. I pray to God that he will give me my land back. But it's up to him. Whether he does give me my land back or he does not, I will still praise him. I will see you later. Bye-bye.